Okay, so our next segment that we always do is helping people understand a couple of definitions or concepts that are unique to AI and generative AI. So this week we're going to talk about two. The first, which is RAG. So if you're going around and you're hearing presentations about generative AI, you might hear people invoke RAG. What is RAG, Bridget?
So, as always with this section of the podcast, I'm going to do my best, and you're going to correct me if you think I haven't gotten it quite right or could get it a little more right. But RAG is stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. That part I'm sure is correct. And it's a process where you can optimize the output of a frontier model, a large language model, by having it hunt in specific training data sources that are relevant to whatever it is that the tool is that you're building. So I can give you an example. We used RAG, this training process, in building our Clause Builder AI tool, which is a tool built on ChatGPT Turbo, or maybe it's GPT-4. I'd have to check with my engineers, but we used a RAG process where we gave it an extra set of training data, which was a set of perfected clauses that have been upheld by courts. So we know these are good clauses. So when you're actually trying to have it write a clause, it can go look in that specific data set, this like data set that's really relevant to the question that it's designed to answer before it builds on its original training data. Does that sound about right? Am I missing something important there?
No, that's consistent with my understanding. Is it's kind of like a closed universe that you can work with directly. And I know that there's discussion about a lot of the benefits and some of the challenges, which we'll talk about throughout our episodes as well. But that's how I understand it.
So I have another one. Tell me when people talk about precision versus imprecision, it's an issue that you hear people talk about in the context of generative AI, and what do they mean by that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot recently because I think you and I are both super excited about the future of AI, but I think the early sort of idea that you could snap your fingers and have it do any type of activity has led people down a road where they try to do things for which it's not perfectly designed yet and come away disappointed. So it is a probability machine. It's making guesses based on its training data as to the next most likely word in the sequence. But frequently, if people are using it for some sort of really, really precision oriented activity, the probabilistic nature of it means that they will frequently have disappointing outcomes. It will miss things or it will hallucinate. And so thinking about how the technology is designed and using it for less precise activity, at least for me for now, has been much more useful than trying to take a document, for example, upload it and ask it for a direct quote from that document. It won't give you the direct quote. And I know Ethan Malik this week, whom we both follow religiously, talked just about this. And one of the points that he made is that people are really used to type 1 errors in search, where there's a false negative, where it will tell you that a document wasn't found when in fact it is in the data set. It just didn't capture it. But we're not used to type 2 errors with false positives, which is the hallucination effect. Like, we're not used to something confidently telling us something is there when it doesn't exist at all. So I think it's helpful to think about what the technology is good for at the moment and using it and leaning in there. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm not sure I fully appreciated the nuance, though. And the way this the difference between these outputs, the type 2, is that what you called it? Type 2 errors are an issue even when the frontier model is using RAG training. Is that your understanding as well? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's right. I think, at least according to what Ethan Malik was saying. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
had this interesting example. We've been training these chatbots at the AAA using GPT or GPT Turbo, or sometimes with this partner, Joseph Q. And we're doing them over different kinds of like domain expertise, like the construction rules, or right now we're we're experimenting with an HR one. So all of our HR materials were RAG. I was going to say rag training, and that's probably not. We're ragging. Is that a word? I'm just making it up now.
Ooh, I like it.
Rag to train these chatbots so that our employees can ask questions that they would otherwise send to the HR staff, but they might be more comfortable asking a chatbot. It will both allow the HR staff to work on some of the things that are more impactful, and it will give some employees some privacy, which they might actually prefer. And we try a few different models. And actually, remember Alec Willerman, our student from our class? He's interning with me this summer. Yeah, and he built a version of it using just GPT to compare with the version we're building with Joseph Q, because we always like to, sort of compare and contrast and see what we're learning. And in one of the questions we asked it answered it correctly. We know that's not the correct policy, and we thought, well, that's really weird because we had trained it on the HR data. But in fact, we went and pulled up our HR handbook, and we had the wrong information in the HR handbook.
Oh my god!
So yeah, we quickly fixed that, but it was sort of interesting. I thought the RAG process cut down on the hallucinations, but I think the point is, the thing about this technology is it doesn't eliminate it, right?
That's right. That's right. And it's also why I think you and I have found it to be really useful for things like brainstorming and strategic planning and creative thought partnership, because like a human partner, that doesn't need to be so precise. You can work out the precision later, but using it as sort of like an upgraded version of Control F to pull things out of documents is much more difficult for it right now. Thank you for tuning in to 2030 Vision, AI and the Future of Law. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Stay informed and inspired as we continue to explore the AI-driven future of the legal profession. We'll see you next time.